Hi guys, it's Ellen and today I have a new junk journal video to share with you. In this video I'm using Tincika Designs Vintage Ladies printable, and you'll see that a little bit later on in the video. So first off, I'm going to work on my pages. I have this white paper here. This is actually the back of a pattern paper, and then I've got a vellum page in the middle and then vintage book paper on the other side. And my idea was to create a pocket using the vellum and the white paper. So I wanted to add some interest on the white paper because you will see through the vellum onto that, and I didn't want it to be just plain. I end up actually covering over this. I've just taken a black and white napkin and I'm just using some gel matte medium to collage that onto the page. I'm then doing the same onto the vintage book paper. I'm just using the napkin to add some interest on the page, so you can still see through it to the image behind it, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting to the eye. So I'm going to dry all that off and then you'll see me change the white paper. So I'm going for a vintage style layout, and the white paper just was looking off to me, so I wanted to make that look a little bit more vintage. So I'm going to take off the napkin that I put onto that page, and I've got a really old vintage advert from a newspaper, and I'm going to cover the whole page with that instead. So then when you see through the vellum pocket, it just looks so much more vintage. So I've just used again my gel matte medium to collage that page onto the white paper, and then I'm going to go over it with some of the napkin again. So I wanted it to be cohesive through both of the pages, so that's why the napkin works well as well. And I'm so much more happy with this. It looks way more vintage to me. It looks a lot better. So I'm going to dry all of that, trim all of the paper down, and then I will create my pocket. So to create the pocket, I'm using some very thin double-sided tape on the top and bottom of the page, and then I'm sticking the vellum onto that, so it's a nice wide pocket, full length of the page. And where I've used a really thin double-sided tape, I was just a bit worried about how well it would hold together. So I've taken some Tim Holtz washi tape and I've folded that over the page as well, and this covers up the double-sided tape, but it also makes it a bit more secure, so it's not going to go anywhere. So then I've got my first piece from the Vintage Lady printable, and I want to use it to put something into my pocket that I created. So I have this old postcard, and it's got a old advert printed on it, and I think this was from the Second World War, and it says self-indulgence at this time is helping the enemy, which I thought went really well because I'm journaling about my love of baking, so I thought that would be quite funny to add. So before I add the Vintage Lady printable onto the back, I've added some tea-stained book paper because the Vintage Lady is a lot smaller than that. And I've also added some washi tape behind it and overlapping the postcard just to make it a bit more interesting. And then I thought I would also create a pocket with the Vintage Lady printable. So it's sort of a pocket within a pocket. So I've added some thin double-sided tape on two of the sides, and I've inked around the edges with black soot. And then I'm going to stick that down onto the page. I've also added a red flower that I printed. This was a free printable because I'm going to add some pops of red on this page. And then I have my pocket within a pocket. So I'm going to create a journal card to put inside the pocket, where I can add some of my photos onto of some of the things that I've baked. So I've taken a craft piece of card, and I'm going to trim that down to size so it fits in the pocket nicely, and then just put my photos on both sides of that journal card. And then adding some journaling, just saying what they were basically. I added a label and I added just a border using a black fine liner on that, and then that is that whole page finished. So I still had quite a lot of photos to add, and I wasn't going to fit them all on this one page. So I'm using a craft envelope that I had left over. I have no idea where this is from. And I'm just adding that to the page so it sort of flips out, and I can put something in the envelope, and I can also use the top of the envelope and behind the envelope to add things on. So it just gives me a lot of extra space. In the vellum piece, it's a little bit difficult to see on video, but it actually has some really light pink tones. So I've used some pink card to back two of my photos on. These photos are of a Milky Bar cheesecake, which was a bit of an experiment and turned out amazing. So I really wanted to add this to this spread. And I'm going to use one of the journal pieces from the Vintage Lady collection to just talk about what they were. So I've added my journaling to that piece. I've inked around the edges with black soot, and then I'm going to collage them onto that book page, that book paper page. And I'm also using some more of those red flowers that I printed and fussy cut, again just to add the pop of red. You can see the postcard that I've used has bright red on it, so I thought that would go really, really well. And then I'm going to just stick all of that onto my page. Adding some more Tim Holtz washi tape to the top of my page, again just for some interest, and then I'm going to work on the front of my envelope. So I found a quote that says, "Shout out to all the women who bring more than just looks to the table," which I really liked because this is about baking. So I've just written that out onto the envelope, and I'm just going to decorate that with various pieces. So I've got more Tim Holtz washi tape, I've got some vellum stickers, I'm going to use part of one of those flowers, and I'm also using part of one of the Vintage Lady printables as well, just to make that more interesting. Then I needed to put something inside the envelope that I have created, so I am going to make another journal card to put inside there. So I've taken some craft coloured card, and I'm going to back that onto some more of the pink card that I used previously, and I'm going to use this to back another one of the Vintage Lady printables onto. So again, I ink everything pretty much with black soot to give it a grungy vintage feel. And I'm going to add some washi tape where I'm going to stick the Vintage Lady piece just to add some more interest. And I've got some more pictures of my cooking to add. So this year for Christmas, I made homemade hampers for everybody and filled them with different things that I baked. So I made cookies and shortbread, brownies, there was more that I can't remember, and some hot chocolate cones, and lots of different treats. So I'm just going to use this journal card to talk about that. So on the back I've added my photos and some more Tim Holtz washi and another one of those red flowers. And that just ties all of these pages in together, so I know when I'm flipping through it at a later date, all of these pieces go together. The final thing I'm doing is just adding some decoration to my pages, so I'm just using some different stickers. I use a few vintage style stickers and some floral stickers. Again, it just ties everything all in together, and that's my page all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out Tincika Designs, she will be linked below. As always, thank you very much for being here. Bye guys!